today's lab we will continue with Boolean network modeling, and we will look at this interesting Python based tool called BooleanNet, which can be used to simulate Boolean networks, and it has a nice format for specifying the Boolean transfer functions, and it is very easy to use. So, let us look at BooleanNet. That is again a very nice tool. Let me just fire up my Python. Examples. This is the abscisic acid example. So, just look at the rule file, it is pretty straightforward. So, there are a few interesting things to note here, especially in relation to what we discussed in the morning. So, first of all, you can say something is equals false or something equals true. These are initial conditions, these are practical aspects of the simulation that we truly did not touch upon in the morning. So, you have different nodes having a different initial state. This is very interesting. So, I think not in this example, but I can show you other examples where it is interesting. So, this 1 colon tells you the rank of the update. So, if you are doing, we talked about two methods of update, right, we talked about synchronous updates and asynchronous updates. So, here you have an opportunity to preserve synchronous updates, but sort of enforce a ranking of which nodes are updated before which other nodes. So, if you have a gradation in what is a faster process and you do not even want to go in for an asynchronous update, you can go for a synchronous update and say I know that NOS is updated before calcium 2 is updated, because this maybe depends on that, and you can of course this is more important in an asynchronous update, right. In a synchronous update is anyway going to use the previous state's value, does not matter when it is updated, but in asynchronous it becomes important. So, look at this. So, rank colon node star equals a Boolean expression, right. The first number is the rank, all are set to 1 here, means that the new value of A is equal to the old value of A and B combined with the operator, or, and then you have the model, you can have comments as well here. I will maybe just open a different model where you may be able to see the immune cell. Text. No, even here you do not have this, but yeah. So, we had a paper where we talked about modeling the host pathogen interactions in tuberculosis, and we had like ranks all the way up till 9 or 10, wherein we knew that certain nodes had to be updated before other nodes. If you have that knowledge ahead of time, you can employ that in the model, which is actually I think a pretty cool feature of BooleanNet. You had a question?
Yes, sir. So some nodes have initial states, some other nodes will not have initial state, right? Like which state will it take randomly?
You can specify that, or or by default I do not know if it assumes false, right. So, I will have to check that. So, let us just look at the simulation. You will see that the code is really simple. Okay, 59 seems a lot of lines, but if you see a lot of it is just comments and so on. This has some concentrations and so on. So, let us look at a simpler model where you will have even fewer. So, literally you have just 4 lines of code that are important. So, model is model mode sync and text rule file, initialize the model, iterate, actually 3 lines of code, and of course then you can print for state and model or states, print state. So, this is all the Python that you need to know. If you are not familiar with Python, this is still very understandable, right, even if you are familiar with MATLAB or any of the other things we have been doing in the course. So, you just say model is model, mode is synchronous, you can also have asynchronous if you want, and the Boolean transfer function file is this demo rules.txt. Then you initialize the model and iterate how many ever steps that you want. I didn't even have network X in my bash. I should have just tried it off my Conda.
Sir, and you are running virtual machine for this.
No, this bash on Windows 10. It's the best.
Okay.
Best way to run bash on Windows.
Sir, but better than bash, ZFH is better than bash.
Why?
Because it will auto complete your commands. Bash will not.
Bash won't autocomplete. Shreya, what's your error?
So it's not installing it.
What's it throwing up?
It threw up something weird, so I downloaded the package and tried to install it. And there it's showing error in some installation code. There's no module called util.
Called?
Util.
Util. That sounds like some inbuilt BooleanNet module. So
The util.py is there. What is it called?
So you see, it's a very simple thing. It just has modify states and state, test, and so on. Built-in functions.
So where are you running the code?
I'm running this code. It has to go to this.
Yeah. See,
They went to this folder. No, see, it's going to that folder. Let's copy paste it.
Okay. Python 3. You have Python 3. It's Python 2. Whatever you downloaded is
I downloaded the Python 3.
No, there's no BooleanNet for Python 3, I think. Maybe one of you can try and rewrite it.
There's nothing. Just print. We'll put parentheses. for
That's all. That's all.
And division for integer division.
Yeah. So you can actually write Python proof code by using from_future import print function, and
Yes, sir.
so that can be Python 3 proof. When you write for Python 2 even,
Type print. Okay.
Of course, there's no module module pass.
No,
any luck running the
what
demos,
I'll do is
Samyukta?
Go into that folder and start running. Like, go
But
into import boolean.
Setup? No, Boolean setup.py is in Boolean.this thing. I have to put setup.py here.
Look, it will be to show me the code. Show me the terminal where the folder you are running. So
Wait, now let's see. Of course, there's no more. Oh, see, it's importing the folder in the correct folder, so that's not the issue.
then what you have to do is you have to put all of these into boolean.
It is in Boolean too.
And come on. Just now I told there is no rule path.
Somewhat different from application.
It got installed from me.
Oh my god. Yeah. So I cd to the folder in which setup is. Setup imports this folder and then goes there. Right, yeah. So, but
There
it's
is
not
no-
taking the modules that's in that folder. That folder has all the modules that it needs, but it's not taking it.
can change code in setup and put setup instead of Boolean, no? Oh no. No, we can do that.
Yeah. So put this here.
Change the Boolean setup. Okay, we'll check why pick this now. Why pick this now? Will sudo work for you? Sudo apt install.
So what's that?
Then go now sudo apt install. apt. Yeah. So sudo apt install. Right. Capital D. It's not working. This is not the pick one.
It says you need to initialize all the nodes. So I don't know how they initialize it here, and I'm trying to use the ABA model here. You can say missing equals something, so random. And model dot iterate steps equals 10. That's it. It was as simple as doing that, and now you can just for state in model dot states print state right. So can you see this? So it just gives you the whole set of states. You can pull out whatever you want from this. So all I had to do was model dot initialize with some how you initialize the missing ones, iterate, and for state and model dot states print state. It's as simple as that. All I needed was a file that showed you rules in this fashion. Right, where you can even apply the ranks for async and so on. Okay, we'll stop here, and but if you have any doubts, you can always raise them and we can discuss further. But it's very easy. Both BoolSim, of course, you will agree, is trivially easy to use and so on, and so is BooleanNet. In today's lab session, we looked at the Python based package called BooleanNet, which is very useful for simulating Boolean networks, and it has a very simple format for specifying the Boolean transfer functions and so on. And in the next video, we will look at methods to model host pathogen interactions, and I am talking about it right after Boolean networks because we actually have a very interesting piece of work wherein we used Boolean networks to simulate how the human host and Mycobacterium tuberculosis interact.